All right, today we're jumping into a really powerful concept, divine protection. We're going to break down the core ideas from a series of sermons that talk about a hidden spiritual battle and how to navigate it. Think of this as your explainer on what's called a divine shield.
So let's start here. This one verse is basically the launching pad for this whole conversation. The source material uses it to set up this fundamental conflict, an unseen enemy with a very clear, very destructive mission. And according to this teaching, in this spiritual fight, we're all potential targets.
Okay, so if there's a threat, you've got to ask, what exactly is it? The first part of this teaching is all about identifying what it calls an active spiritual adversary. So let's dive into how it's defined.
And look, the source does not mince words here. It defines the enemy as a very specific spiritual being. Its entire purpose? Destruction. This isn't some vague idea of bad vibes or negativity. It's presented as an intelligent force with one single hostile goal against all of humanity.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, right? The source connects this big spiritual concept to stuff we see and experience in the real world every day. It suggests that everything from our personal struggles, like bad relationships, to massive global crises, think pandemics or destructive politics, are all part of this one big, destructive plan.
So when you hear all that, the next logical question is, well, how do we protect ourselves? The source argues that our usual methods, what we might call worldly protection, are fundamentally flawed. And that brings us to the limits of our own human security.
And here's the core of that argument. Any security system that we humans create is, by its very nature, fallible, because we are fallible. It's a pretty bold claim, basically saying that all our locks, alarms, and safety nets are just not enough to handle the kind of threat we're talking about.
This chart just lays it all out, side by side. It's a stark comparison, isn't it? Think about it. A security guard can get sick, they fall asleep, they go home at the end of their shift, they can't be everywhere at once. The source contrasts that with divine protection, which is described as being 24/7, everywhere, and working in both the physical and the spiritual realms, places our human security just can't touch. So we've talked about the problem and why, according to the source, our normal solutions just don't cut it. So what's the alternative? Well, that's where this concept of a divine shield comes in. It's presented as a complete, totally infallible alternative.
So what does complete protection actually mean in this context? It's not just a fuzzy feeling. The source breaks it down into 3 super specific criteria. The protection has to be total, covering every part of you. The protector has to be immune to the threat itself. And it has to be constant, offering safety at all times from all things. The argument is, only God fits that description.
And this quote, this is like the bedrock of that promise. It's not suggesting you'll never face trouble, not at all. It's promising guaranteed deliverance through the trouble. And that imagery is so powerful, isn't it? He protects all his bones, not even one will be broken.
Okay, so this divine shield sounds great, but how do you actually get it? How do you activate it? The next part of the teaching gets super practical and lays out the exact method for turning on this protection.
The answer, according to the source, is prayer. But we're not just talking about a ritual here. It's framed as the direct link, the communication channel you use to get God's guidance and tap into that all-powerful help. In this whole system, prayer is the key that unlocks everything.
And they even give a simple 4-step roadmap for this kind of prayer. First, you start with worship and just being thankful. Then you actually remind God of the promises He's already made in the Bible. Step 3 is to actively claim that protection over your life and home. And finally, you declare your own trust, acknowledging that you can't do it on your own. But here's a really crucial point. This isn't like flipping a switch one time and you're good to go forever. The source is clear that activating the shield is just the start. To keep it up, to sustain it, requires something more, a life of enduring faith.
So what is faith? You know, the source defines it as a choice. It's the conscious act of deciding to believe God's word over what your eyes are telling you about the chaotic world around you. It's the fundamental mindset you need for that shield to stay strong and effective. And I gotta say, I love the way the source explains this. It uses this beautiful analogy of a garden. Faith is like a plant. You have to actively nurture it. You water it with prayer, you fertilize it with scripture, and you cultivate it with love. And just as important, you have to pull out the weeds, those distractions and doubts that try to choke it out. So this really brings it all together, right? You can see how prayer and faith work hand in hand. They aren't two separate things. According to this teaching, every single time you pray for protection, you're also making a declaration of your faith. Each one reinforces the other, making that spiritual shield even stronger.
And that leaves us with this final big question. A question that really gets to the core of everything we've talked about today. The source builds this incredible case for a complete invisible shield, activated by prayer and held up by faith. So it makes you think, what does it truly mean to put your trust in a protector you can't even see?